Hi, my name is Lisa, and I'm doing the Video 5 post this week. And the juvenile case that I chose was a 16-year-old male in Garland, Texas, who police identified as a gang member and had already been under investigation for committing 15 other types of crimes. On August 25th of 2025, he broke into a vehicle inside an open garage and left on foot, but then a neighbor recognized him from having him broken into his two vehicles previously. And so he tried to stop him, and the teen pulled out a gun and shot the neighbor. He then fled, and then the police chased him down and arrested him, and he is facing charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, evading arrest, and then theft of a firearm as well. All of this information was from the Palacios CBS News article. One thing to note is that the press did not release what his race was, but I did look up the demographics of the Garland, Texas, and according to InsidePrison.com, that Garland, Texas is mostly white and with a large Black and Hispanic population. So about 18% of residents that live there live below the poverty line. And so that means about 1 in 5 families struggle with financial poverty. And 25% of households in Garland, Texas are single parent homes. So that may result in less supervision for some juveniles with only having one parent. The social theories that I chose was the Agnew's general strain theory, and this first theory I chose because it talks about how juveniles may turn to crime because of stress, pressure, or negative life experiences. Strain can come from poverty or a lack of opportunities and unsafe environments. And in this particular case, this teen repeated burglaries. It wasn't his first one, and gang involvement may be his sort of way of coping and getting structure from not having that at home. And so, as Dr. Coughlin explains in his video, neighborhoods and family problems can make it harder for youth to make good choices. And so, being in a gang may reduce strain by giving him like acceptance, protection, and just even status. And although this strain theory does not fully explain why he chose gun violence when the neighbor confronted him, I'm not sure why he didn't walk away. I think that this theory may not explain that part of the behavior. I think it explains more of the burglary and the theft. And then the other theory I chose, the second theory I chose, was the Hershey's social control theory. And that is the theory that focuses on social bonds with community, family, and your environment. And Hershey asks why most people do not break the law. He argues that strong bonds to family, school, and community prevent delinquency. And so this teen may have had a weak attachment with his family or school, and he wasn't probably involved in extracurricular activities because he couldn't probably afford it or lack of parent participation. And so I believe that was a big part of it. He also may have had weak attachments to friends, which is why he joined the gang. I want to say friends, positive role models, and possibly due to lack of supervision at home, especially if he didn't have both parents there. He also may have had little involvement in any sort of outside of activities besides the gang, and so that probably leads him to a low commitment to future goals, I think. And if a teen believes that rules are unfair, which he might have, just based on his world perspective, they may have less wanting or commitment belief to follow them overall. Fuller actually explains that some traditional Asian cultures have lower reduced crime, and it's because that culture values family obligations over respect for like instead of wealthiness. And so because of that, because they're prioritizing family over wealth, he thinks there might be a link there with reduced crime. One weakness of this theory, it doesn't explain why some people with weak bonds still follow the law, is what I'm kind of understanding. Like, I don't understand why, there's a lot of people that have a hard life and don't have a lot of family support or strong bonds with communities, and yet they still choose to follow the law. So I wasn't quite sure how that theory explained that. And then as far as my last theory, I chose the labeling theory. And it says that calling a teen a criminal can actually encourage more crime. And Merton called this a self-fulfilling prophecy. And in the Palacios article, the police had already seen this teen as a gang member, like they'd already identified him as one. So he was labeled pretty early. And as Dr. Coughlin in his video explains, repeated negative labels can lead to secondary deviance, where the teen begins to believe that being a criminal is who they are. And so one limitation of this theory is that it does not explain when that label becomes accepted by the teen or juvenile, and what specific pressures influence that choice. And there could be a lot of factors that actually push them over the boundary to break the law. So in conclusion, the theory I find most convincing in this case is the Agnew's general strain theory, mainly because I think the teen probably had experienced financial strain or poverty, limited supervision or parental support, or participation. And they probably were exposed to some type of trauma, even within the home, physical, sexual abuse, or perhaps just not a good relationship with their parents or family members. And then because of that, there's a sense of like exclusion. And so by joining the gang, he kind of felt acceptance for who he was. And so by him joining that gang, he got that support, which then kind of supported him in doing deviant activity because they rewarded him and supported that. And so I think all of these pressures could have led him to seek belonging in a gang. And I think just being in the gang probably caused him enough trauma to break the law. And so overall, this case shows that juvenile crime is complex in so many levels and influenced by strain, weak social bonds, and labeling, and just sort of individual choices as well.